What happens when a black woman is denied a ride home after saving a stranger's life on the street? The man who slammed his car door in her face never imagined he'd be the one lying breathless on the pavement. What she did next left the entire crowd in stunned silence. Let me tell you about that morning. It wasn't even 8 a.m., and Harlem was already sweating. You know the kind of heat, not just summer heat, but that sticky, stubborn, city on your neck kind of heat. The streets buzzed with impatient horns, steam coming out the manhole covers, and folks already looking like the day had chewed them up and spit them out. And there was Layla, standing there on the corner of 135th and Lenox, doing what she always did, helping people who don't even remember to help themselves. She had just finished patching up an old man slumped behind a grocery store. Brother was bleeding from his hand, broken glass, shaking from dehydration. And guess who kneeled right there on the concrete, cleaned that wound with bottled water from her own bag, wrapped it up like she was at Bellevue Hospital, and handed him the last protein bar from her pocket? Yeah, Layla. No cameras, no applause, just her doing what needed to be done. Now all she wanted was a ride home. That's it, not the Nobel Prize, not a parade, just a damn taxi. So here comes this yellow cab rolling up, clean-looking sedan, driver looked to be in his 50s. White guy, check shirt, sunglasses too big for his face, the kind of man who's already made up his mind about you before you even open your mouth. Layla stepped forward with one arm up, calm, respectful. She wasn't limping. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't holding a weapon. Just a tired woman trying to get home. He looked at her. I mean, looked, like she was something under his shoe. Didn't say a word. Didn't crack the window. Just leaned over, slammed the door locks down with one click, and pulled off. Not fast, not ashamed. Just smooth and steady, like it was routine. And maybe it was. Layla stood there frozen. 1 second. 2. 3. Not because she was shocked. Oh no. But because this wasn't the first time. And that's the worst part. The anger doesn't even come right away. First comes the weight, the tiredness, that familiar feeling when the world reminds you, with no apology, that your skin walks into the room before you do. And would you believe it? Inside his cab, real clear through the window, she saw a bat, a whole wooden bat lying across the back seat. Why? Who knows? But something about it made the moment snap harder, like he didn't just lock the door. He was ready to swing if she stepped too close. Layla didn't say a word, didn't curse, didn't throw anything. She just stepped back onto the sidewalk, pulled her scrubs down tighter over her waist, and waved down the next cab. This one? Young Latino guy, smiled the moment he saw her, asked how her day was going, offered her a cold water bottle from the center console. She took it, smiled back, and said, "Been better, but at least the seat's open." They drove off. Layla stared out the window, hand tight around that water bottle. She didn't cry. She didn't rant. She's cried before, ranted before. Nothing changed, but she was tired. Tired of being the one who gives first and gets last. And what's wild, she didn't even think that story would go beyond that street. Just another day, another dismissal. But baby, that ride was just the beginning. What happened next changed everything. You do not want to miss how this unfolded, because this story's just getting started, and when it flips hard. Next morning, same city, same sweat, same pulse in the pavement like Harlem's heart never stopped beating. Just shifted gears. Layla was back on her feet, back in her scrubs and back in the trenches at the clinic, doing what folks twice her salary barely bothered to pretend to do. Now let me set this up clear. She wasn't even supposed to be on shift. She picked it up last minute because Darnell, the regular EMT, called out again. Somebody always calling out. So Layla grabs her kit, ties back that curly bun that never listens, and hits the street in that beat-up white van they call an emergency unit. Windows don't roll down. A C works when it wants. But you know what does work? Layla, always. Radio crackles mid-route. Static first, then a man's voice, sharp and urgent. Accident. Midtown. Black sedan. Male, 50s. Possible cardiac episode on impact. Immediate response needed. Layla's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Got it, she said flat. Didn't wait for backup. Didn't check the clock. Just turned that van around like her name was on the street sign. Because when life says move, you move. She hits 52nd. Crowd already formed. The nosy, the helpful, and the ones holding up phones like it's a concert. A yellow cab's wrapped halfway around a stoplight pole, hood smoking like it's trying to whisper its last words. Driver still in the seat, slumped forward, face pale, chest barely moving. Layla pushes through the crowd. Emergency responder, she shouts, flashing her badge and elbowing past a man with a latte and too many opinions. She gets to the car, stops, stares. It's him, the man from yesterday, the one who locked his doors like she was a problem and peeled off like her breath cost extra. Same checked shirt, same smug face, only now that smugness has turned to stillness. Mouth hanging open, hand on his chest. He wasn't being rude today. He was fading. But here's the thing about Layla. She doesn't pick and choose who gets to breathe. She moves, and she moved fast. Sir, can you hear me? She says, opening the car door. Nothing. She grabs her defibrillator, checks the pulse. Weak. Rapid. Ma'am, let me film this. Someone in the crowd starts. Put your phone down before you drop it. This ain't a show, Layla snaps. She lays him out on the pavement, begins compressions. Her knees hurt, sweat rolling down her back. But she counts each press like it matters, because it does. 1 dot 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 2 dots, 3 dots, 4 dots. Crowd hushes, the city fades. It's just her and him now. Somebody hands her the oxygen mask. Her partner finally shows up, breathless, wide-eyed. He was coding? No, Layla says without looking up. He was dying. 10 minutes pass, sirens in the distance. Layla keeps going, and just when it feels like it's too late, like this man's story is done, his chest jerks, a cough, a groan, eyes flutter, pulse kicks. He's back. Layla leans back, exhaling like a mountain just slid off her chest. Paramedics rush in. They pack him onto a stretcher, hook him up, roll him out. Someone in the crowd, a middle-aged woman with her hand over her mouth, almost says, Wasn't that the guy who didn't pick you up yesterday? Layla doesn't flinch. Looks like he got the ride he needed. And just like that, she grabs her bag, wipes her forehead with the back of her arm, and walks back to her van like this was just Tuesday. No medals, no applause. Just a sister saving the life of the man who wouldn't even unlock his door. Because that's what makes Layla different. She doesn't wait for apologies. She acts. This is the turning point. Everything you've been feeling, it's about to explode. Stay right here, because in the final chapter, Layla's quiet strength is about to shake the whole damn room. 2 days later, same clinic, different kind of heat. This one not from the sun, but from people. The waiting room is packed. Kids crying, phones buzzing, the AC clicking like it's deciding whether to retire or push through one more shift. Layla's behind the front desk, typing in a patient record. She's calm, focused, still wearing those same well-worn scrubs. The ones that don't look like much but have seen more life than most suits in City Hall. Her hair's pulled back, her face is tired, but her eyes, sharp as ever. And then the door opens. It's him. Yes, him. That cab driver, standing there like he just walked into church late and forgot the hymn number. Button-down shirt freshly ironed, hat in one hand, and in the other, a paper bag, trembling just a little. The whole room kind of pauses, like somebody hit mute. Not because they recognize him, but because Layla's body language shifts. She sits up straighter, not defensive, just ready. He steps forward, not a single word yet, just that same face. But now it's missing the shade, the walls, the armor. I was told you work here, he starts, his voice lower than expected. Layla, right? She nods slowly, doesn't blink, doesn't speak. Lets him sit in the silence for a minute, like it's his turn to feel the weight of not being answered. I came to say thank you, he says. They told me what you did. The doctors, the paramedics, said I flatlined for 20 seconds, said you brought me back. He swallows. I also came to apologize. Now Layla leans back, folds her arms, and gives him a look like a school principal waiting to see if the kid actually learned something or just wants to get out of detention. I remember what I did, he says, that morning, and I ain't got an excuse for it. I've been driving for over 20 years. Thought I had people figured out just by looking at them. I looked at you and made a judgment, a bad one. He sets the paper bag on the counter, gentle like it's glass. I baked these. I know it's not much. Banana nut. My wife used to say it fixes just about anything. Layla finally speaks. Calm, director, no sugar. I didn't save you for banana bread, she says. I know, he nods. You did it because it was right. Because you are. And here's what made the whole room shift. Not his apology, not the baked goods, but the silence Layla let hang between them. She didn't pat his hand, didn't say, it's okay, because it wasn't. She just nodded once. Not forgiveness, not friendship, just acknowledgement. A minute later, he turns to leave. But before he gets to the door, an older black woman in the waiting room, probably in her late 60s, holding her grandson's hand, looks up and says loud enough for the whole place to hear, "You better be glad God sent the right hands that day. Not everybody would have moved like she did. Not even close." He turns, nods respectfully, and walks out with less weight in his steps than he came in with. Later that evening, Layla finds a letter inside that bag, handwritten. No return address, just 3 lines. You saved more than my life that day. You cracked open my eyes. Thank you for not stepping over me, even when I stepped past you. George. She folded the letter. Didn't cry, didn't smile either. Just sat with it. Because some victories don't need volume. Some power is quiet. And some stories, like this one, ain't about revenge. They're about what happens when a woman chooses integrity over ego, duty over disrespect. Not every wound leaves a scar, but every scar has a story. And Layla's story, that one's about how doing what's right, even when it's not fair, can shake the system harder than any headline.